Hey there. I'm here with Agni P, and I wanted to bring her on today because I experienced quantum healing with her, oh gosh, 6 months ago, something like that, to help me with my business. She was actually in my program, and she told me she was working on quantum healing, that she started this new program called Quantum Healing. And I was super intrigued by it, and I volunteered right away to be one of her students to work through this program with, and it was incredible. But I had no idea, you know, what was really involved, and the name itself was super intriguing. I was in like a high impact personal growth period. I still am, and now it's like at a whole nother level. Like I was super excited about meditation and growing my capacity so that I could have more impact in the world. But when I started implementing and studying quantum healing with Agni, things like exploded. But I suck at trying to explain what quantum healing really is to people. So I wanted to bring you on today. Thank you so much, so that you can, give us a little bit more insight and articulate, what quantum healing really is and how it works. So kind of like going back to the beginning though, right? What really intrigued you about quantum healing, and how did you discover it?
Yeah, so um, just shortly to say what quantum healing is, it is NLP based modality. It's not a therapy modality, but there is a way to restructure your mind that change your lives basically, and it it has a big potential to heal past traumas or change your belief systems, release that negative emotions or past memories, and deal with any kind of past issues in any way, even or doesn't have to be past, but even in the present situation we are experiencing different challenges, and it is a way that helps you to improve your life basically.
And it happens, the transformation. What I really, really found absolutely fascinating about quantum healing was that the transformations, once you could uncover what it was, you know, that was blocking you, was instantaneous.
Yes, that's why it is called quantum, because there is no gap in time. And really, our mind works in fascinating ways. The way we experience our reality is based in our beliefs, in our subconscious mind. And the conscious mind is just like a filter that allows certain experiences based on your core beliefs and programming that usually is built in through the childhood, and like up to 7 years we're being programmed, or that subconscious mind is being built, and later with significant experiences as well we receive a lot of different programs that often doesn't serve us, right?
Yeah. A while back, you had a computer analogy that you
Mm.
used, and I really loved that. That helped me so much to kind of frame, what happens at the conscious level, and then deeper than that. Can you recall that computer analogy and just tell everybody about that?
Yeah. So most of us are aware of conscious and subconscious mind as a structure, right? Science
Mhm.
is talking about it and explaining how it works. And so 95% of data, or like the function of the brain, is our subconscious mind. And
That blew my
around,
mind, right?
yeah, and just very small percentage is left for the conscious mind. So in the computer analogy, I could say that the screen is your conscious mind. And anything you see on the screen, you can click the buttons to open the program. You can choose how to work with it. But
Mhm.
all the programs, all the code is in your subconscious mind. Everything, all the functions that you cannot kind of change on the screen is built in that programming, right?
Mhm. And that's,
So
yeah, that's hard coded in there,
yeah,
but
for
it can
sure,
be changed.
definitely. And in I've tried, I experimented with different ways and modalities to change that, subconscious programs. And there are affirmations, there are different other techniques, but it takes time, right?
Mhm.
How many years do you want to repeat to yourself that you are good enough, and when you still don't feel that?
No, and through this process, I discovered that I was actually kind of stalling my progress and had for like ever in my life. I built in this mechanism of positive reinforcement. I didn't allow any negative, um, narrative into
Mm-hmm.
my being because I saw what it did. I saw that this, negative self track was really damaging to some people that, I really loved. And I saw how awful that was. So I decided very early that I would not allow that internal dialogue to be negative. And so I inserted all this positive internal dialogue. And through quantum healing, realized that that was actually not serving me either.
Yeah.
And it's really, really fascinating to see the difference between, other types of, I call it slower programming, where you're tweaking little tiny bits of code like here and there, right, over your lifetime, which is fantastic. Or there's quantum healing, which is a much more rapid transformation. And I mean, that just really like allowed me to connect with so many pieces, so many resources in me that I just didn't know that I had. There's like connecting with these resources on one side. I
Mm-hmm.
see like these kind of two sides of quantum healing, like getting rid of the crap code, right?
Yeah.
And then connecting, which then allows you to like really connect with like these resources that you have, um, and just open things wide up.
Become.
It's
Yeah.
still, it's amazing.
Yeah. So positive thinking as a thing from I was also like working towards that, training myself to think positively. The problem there that we usually kind of uh, sugarcoat the problems. So we don't deal with the problems within. We just cover them with nice, thing.
Yeah, well,
And
thinking that that's what, we're thinking that that's the program, but that's not the
yeah,
program. It's covering it up.
exactly. So this is like kind of management technique, but it's not a resolution technique. What
Yeah.
quantum healing does is get straight to the core of the problem and transforms it, and you release that negative
Yeah.
energy and your program is updated immediately, and so you don't
Immediately.
need to keep
Yeah.
like maintaining that positive
Yeah.
state, right?
It's crazy. Like just that things can change in an instant, like
Yeah,
blows my mind. And it
exactly.
continues to blow my mind. And I almost forget to implement some of the tools sometimes because, and I'm always identifying, these beliefs or these things that come up that go, oh, that's bad programming, right? And if I just go in and do this, I can like snip it out of there.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. And no doubt that you were, so excited when you really uncovered this tool.
Yeah, so with the programs, you need, I saw like I was contemplating the other day, and I'm like, so all our problems in life are those kind of limited programs that are running in our subconscious, that are running our life for us if we are not aware of them, right? And so all those limiting beliefs, the unresolved past trauma, emotional trauma, all those things are kind of blocking that those possibilities that you could access, the power of you that you could access if those programs were not active. And the more of the negative program that you worked through, the more connected to your true self you become, the more free you become. The fear does not exist in that space, like when you're really connected to your higher self. And that's, you know, that's my goal, really, to help people experience that transformation, to help them understand the real power they have within. It's not me that is doing anything with this quantum healing. Their soul is transforming them from inside out. I'm facilitating the process, and that's why it's so amazing, because I mean, it's not directly my input. I'm not directing
It was all,
anything, right?
yeah, you're such an amazing guide, right? You know, and it isn't inserting any of those things in. Like it's all internal, right? You know, you guide the process, but you're not inserting any direction or answers, or right, it's all coming from, you know, our higher self, or that driven nature to operate in that freedom, in that like release from that programming, right? It doesn't, it, this process facilitates transformation outside of that programming, right? Whereas I think at the conscious level, when we're working at it, right, we're fighting against the programming at the conscious level.
Yes.
And so it's hard to tell that when we're at this conscious level, we don't know what the difference between our higher self and our programming looks like. Like we, you know, we can, you know, that's why it becomes difficult to understand what intuition is and what that dialogue looks like. That dialogue is programming.
Exactly.
Right? Intuition is outside of the programming, but at the conscious level, right, until we, you know, kind of start breaking down that programming, we can't distinguish, or have a very, and this was me, have a very hard time distinguishing between intuition and programming. And it was very, especially with somebody like me who had the positive track, right? You know, for some people, well, it's a negative, it's not intuition. That's an easy distinction. But for somebody like me who was like, I had this nice positive track, right? I built a great one. It was really intricate too.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still, you know, sometimes have to go, oh, that's, you know, that's programming. But now I recognize, you know, 90% of the time, recognize what that track looks like, the programming looks like, and what intuition looks like. And quantum healing is what opened that up for me. But yeah, it's really, it's just totally fascinating for me as a coach too, which is why, you know, so, you know, she and I met through that coaching, but it, you know, I realized that it was something that I needed to bring into my practice, into my program, because so, you know, I work with, you know, as you know, obviously, I work with entrepreneurs. So I'm a coach. I guide my clients through getting clarity on their impact as entrepreneurs. So through my coaching program, you know, and in my own progress, recognized how powerful this was for me in unlocking my potential and helping so many more people, and recognizing and knowing that this process is something that is needed for my clients too, to really get the results and the transformation in anything in life, right? So, you know, this would be incredibly valuable and to any coach who's helping people who are also going out and impacting the world, if that makes sense, right? So it just is such an amplifier for the results that my students want to get. So, you know, that's where our relationship continues, because I brought you in, right? And want to see that kind of develop with my coaching program too. Do you want to talk about what that looks like at all in this interview, or
the process?
Well, how it just really like amplifies
Yeah,
impact for people.
but for sure, because the impact or whatever um, purpose or what you do comes from within, in my understanding, right? Is not consciously driven thing. It comes from your soul, that feeling that is pulling you to do things, to change, the one to change the world or people or help everybody, or all those strong emotions that motivates us to do things comes from within. And so the more clear you become of who you really are and how you function and what you want and how to get there, the more impact you will have in your personal life and your business and
Mhm.
everywhere else, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Relationships, every aspect. When you change, everything around you changes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Can I tell you a story about, just really quickly? I was so focused on my business, right, with this process, and I started working with Agne on it, quantum healing. I'm like, yes, my goal is to unlock, my full potential in my business. And one of the, actually, the first results that I got unintentionally were with the relationship that I had with my husband. And it like blew my mind because that was not a focus of mine at all, right? Like it should have been. But I was really, very hyper focused on this impact that I wanted to make, and everything was about that. And some of the first giant results and just transformations that I got in my life were with my husband. And when I changed, he changed. And we had some challenges. And we still have, our challenges, but like he changed, and he changed because I changed. And I was blown away.
Yeah, well, we are interconnected, right? So, and they say that people around you are your mirrors. So they mirror your whether positive or negative aspects, right? And
Mhm.
if those aspects triggers you, that means the problem is within you.
Yeah.
Until you deal with those past memories or traumas or whatever you call that,
Mhm.
um, they will keep triggering you.
Yeah.
But when things are resolved within you, then you're
I was
untouchable.
projecting those. Yeah, I was projecting those things out on him.
Yeah.
So it blows my mind, how much we project onto other people. We have no idea. We put it all out on them. That's their behavior, that's their programming, that's their
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And it's like it's crazy to me how much is connected. It's not crazy to you because but it still blows my mind.
Well, yeah, we are connected and we are impacting our thoughts, our mind is impacting everything. Like we create our own reality. Think of why it is called quantum healing,
Yeah.
because you have the power to heal yourself. Your body has the ability to heal itself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there are so many sicknesses and diseases around the world that originally are emotional and those kind of energetical problems, right? But
Yeah.
we are trying to suppress the symptoms, thinking that we're healing. Uh, the true power is within. When you deal with the core issue of that uh, problem or the health problem,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't need to be there anymore. Your
Yeah.
body it is just a signaling mechanism.
Yeah.
It brings your attention to whatever that needs to be addressed. So
Yeah.
if you have pain, well, it means something, right? And how
That's what was
to
happening with my ear.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you remember, I'd almost forgotten actually. One of the things that I brought up early in quantum healing was, plugging in my ear and ear pain. And the it came down to the root of blocking my intuition,
Yeah.
right? And not trusting myself. It was a really cool process. I don't have time to kind of go into it, but it was connected to not trusting my intuition, and it was really fascinating. Is there a story of kind of into that healing area, right? That these physical manifestations of this stuff that's going on and resolving that. Do you have a favorite story that you like to tell, about how quantum healing interacts with that?
From the experiences with clients, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, very often, well, that's why I say that I don't promise any specific results, because you never know what will happen.
Okay.
Because
No, you don't actually.
it happens exactly what is supposed to happen for you.
Yep.
Right? Because I'm not projecting anything,
No.
specific thing. So it is your being that is resolving all those issues and puts everything in the right place the way it should be for you. And when you say you were focused on the business and the relationship got better, well, it needed to get better, probably, for you to improve in your business, right?
It's
Everything is
true.
connected in our life. And so when you understand that as a holistic structure, and that's what quantum healing is, we're not covering the symptoms here. We are dealing with the core issues that ultimately impacts different areas of our lives. Right? Only updating or like transforming your belief can show up in different ways, both in your business, in your personal life, or anywhere else, because everything
Yeah.
is connected. And
Yeah.
just to bring this as how our thoughts creates our reality. There is a scientific study made that the experiment. Now they took the person and scratched the epithelial cells from in a cheek, put in the petri dish those cells, right, and connected to all the equipment to measure the electromagnetic impulses, and had the owner of those cells also connected to all the devices. And they took the person through different emotional states. And when he was experiencing joy and sadness and fear, there was different frequencies registered, right? And
Wow.
those cells in the petri dish, separately from his body, were automatically reacting to his emotional state.
And they could tell this from the frequencies?
Yes.
Wow.
So your thoughts, well, that is, your thoughts triggers the emotions. That is the loop.
Yeah.
Constantly happening. So what you think, you feel. And if your
And your
cells
cells feel.
outside of the body reacts to that, to your feeling, it means they react inside of your body too.
Every cell
Every
in your
single
body
cell.
reacts
Yes,
to your emotions.
exactly. So we can, like, by thinking positive thoughts, we can heal our body. By having negative thoughts or some blockages, like mental blocks, they say, we create like blocks of that energy flow inside of our body.
And cause
And
dysfunction.
exactly. So over time, if you don't address that, it becomes a disease.
Yeah.
So the only way to help that energy to move, well, this is the core aspect between judgment and gratitude. Judgment will always stop the process. Any negative emotion towards something, it stops the process. And the only way to activate the process is gratitude. That's why the main step in quantum healing, we do this thanking process, right?
Yeah.
Just notice what happens, notice what comes to your awareness, and thank
Thinking
it.
and noticing.
And notice what happens, what changes after all.
Yeah.
And yeah, the magic is happening in the gratitude state, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so
And it
simple.
works. Yeah, and it's really incredible. It's a process that I go through to this day, when I have a migraine, when that comes up. And it's really, really interesting to work through and connect with yourself at that level, and to really recognize the power that you have over your own function, your own ability to operate in a more effortless, healthy way.
Yes, because after all, everything is about your perception. It's not what happened to you, but what story did you attach to what happened to you, right?
Mm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
deal with that story, when you transform the story, the impact of that, if it was negative event, is
Yeah.
less significant.
Yep.
Right? And acceptance and that gratitude for that experience, it just release all the negative aspects of that.
Yeah. Just for everybody here, can you just describe a little bit about how the beginning of the process really works? Because there are some steps that you took me through, and then it was a little bit more, you call it a playground, and now I continue to call it a playground, which is where you really get to explore and interact with yourself in a more, in a really free way. Connecting with intuition, connecting with your resources, and utilizing them in your life. But just describe the quantum, they call it Quantum Healing 1, but it's a process that you actually guide people through, and it's not a process where you're inserting information at all, right? But it's a guided process. Can you just describe that process, so that people have an understanding of, like, what does it actually look like to sit down and experience the first part of quantum healing?
So just as a bigger picture, quantum healing has several levels or stages. We have quantum healing 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the process.
And then, of course, you're training coaches too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, neat.
And it's still evolving everything. But for any tool or the process in QH2, 3, and 4 to work, it is very important to have done the quantum healing 1 level, where we basically put that structure. And quantum healing 1 is a program of 5 sessions. First session is about your inner resources. So we activate 7 inner resources. We basically connect or become consciously aware of those, and we connect them together to work in a unified system. And the second session is about IMAPs. And because quantum healing is based on NLP, those of you who are familiar with it probably know that NLP discovered normally organized IMAP, and your eye movement shows which part of the brain is being accessed to bring the information. And so there are different sectors of your eye movements that means different things. And so
mine was all goofed up.
Well, that's kind of typical, nobody's perfect, and we have different
I wasn't accessing information in the right places. And I mean, you did describe, tell me that was fairly normal, but that reorganization, I mean, I struggled with remembering things like names and faces, and but that recall, and I always had then formed a belief, right, that I had a bad memory. And reorganizing the IMAP, like, just proved to me how bullshit that belief was. And it actually allowed me later on to kind of play with that belief, that belief was false, right? Fascinating. So okay, go ahead.
So usually people experience a lot more clarity or easier to access the memory or imagine the future. I had a client that got rid of the migraine pains after that session. That was interesting. right?
I was able to flow easier in conversation, just to recall what I wanted to say and didn't have the need to be thinking about what I wanted to say while somebody else was talking,
Yeah.
right? Because I was always so worried that I wouldn't remember what I wanted to say. And so I was always trying to cue things up.
Mhm.
And when, we went through this process, like I started to be able to just trust that I could recall what I wanted to from the right places and have it ready. Like I didn't need to prime things.
Yeah. Myself, I felt more like I was overthinking a lot
Yeah.
before, like
Yep.
constantly in my head. And after this session and the timeline session, I got like so clear and quiet in my mind. That was amazing.
Because it was stored, everything you trusted, everything was stored in the right places and you could access it where you knew you could get it at any time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about more structure and more organization. So to set it up in like for your brain to function more efficiently.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you for helping me organize my head. That's a big feat.
Right. And
That
the
alone is worth it.
Sure. So the next session, the timelines, is the another step that was very significant, right? And we kind of elicit the timelines the way they are for you, how your brain codes the past and the future and the present moment, and then restructure it in the more efficient way so you can easily access your past memories or the future possibilities, and release all the memories from your body, your mind, and into the timelines, right? The fourth session then is about energy centers, and we activate your body energy centers and connect them to the timelines in that whole structure. And like every session is like the steps are important because it builds up on the previous session. So by the
you have
energy,
to go in order.
yeah, exactly. So when we activate the energy centers, like basically you are ready, the structure is ready for you to experience the fifth session, which in my opinion is the most amazing. At least my experience was very powerful, and it's beautiful to see people to really finding that connection to their higher self in the final session.
Did you call it integration, where you're really integrating?
Well, we can call integration, or like I see it more as when you're ready and your system is set up, you can really experience that uh, connection to your higher self.
Yeah.
Right. And that changes basically everything. And from there, like you mentioned, is a playground. There are many tools how to improve, how to update your limiting beliefs to positive ones, how to, relationship processes and all that.
Yep.
We can even duplicate the skill set of another person, and how to, like, this is the working in quantum level.
Yeah. Initiate other resources, exactly. It's, that was one of the things that like blew my mind. It's like, wait, I can install all of these other resources, as they come up. And it's just such an amazing process. One that just infinitely expands your capability as a human being. And I mean, truly infinitely increases your capability to do things in the world, just to function at such a higher level. You definitely have like, a tool here that everybody should be, should have access to.
I wish that was the case, and I'm sure that every single person on earth would benefit from this. And still, I work with people who are willing and ready for this level of work.
Yeah, you have to be, right? I mean,
it's not
you
for
have
everybody
to
at this stage.
no. You do. I think you have to have the openness to integrating it, to exploring it, and to, to be willing to make those connections. But I think naturally, you're either intrigued and ready or you're not. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that,
sure.
to those who are not ready to kind of expand that consciousness, because that's really what it's about. It's about expanding, your level of consciousness, to do more, for all of these reasons, right? Or if it's simply just to be more connected to this collective consciousness,
Mm.
right? Because that just more of that creates a better world, right?
Yeah.
um yeah, it's we're ready for it, right? And when you're ready for it, you're ready for it, and when you're not, it's okay.
It
It's all
doesn't.
right. We have this Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Mm.
right? And there are things that come before this, and that's okay.
For sure. Yeah. There are levels. There are people who are ready there, and I see more and more people are moving towards this direction of, you
Mhm.
know, waking up and understanding who they really are, what's their purpose, and not only following the society structure and
Mhm.
rules and regulations. And we are all told who we should be and how we should behave and all that. And at some point, you realize that doesn't work. Is not who I am.
Yeah, well, that it's so much that it's really arbitrary, so
Yeah,
much of it.
exactly.
Yeah, that
So
yeah.
tapping into your power, from my perspective, is so amazing,
Yeah,
and activating
that our
more of your
capability.
abilities. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't recognize like what our capabilities really are
Mhm.
until you start to do this work, right?
Yes.
We're bound by, so much of this human existence and this programming that we don't recognize what our real capabilities are. Um,
Yes. We
you
are not
know,
taught of all those things from the childhood. I mean, the only information available was like, you're not good enough. You are this, you're that, and we accepted those limitations, most of it. And unless you start questioning all those things, nothing will change. But when you do question that, you realize that there is so much more. There is so much more possible for you as a
mhm.
person and for the humanity and for the world.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the biggest benefits of really expanding my consciousness has been getting rid of the strong charges that came from, really strong beliefs, and we see it in politics, coming up in identity, and what we see happening in the world, and those really strong reactions that we have when we get triggered. um, Watching that dissolve in you, right? Witnessing in yourself the ability to dissolve some of your reactions, right? And the identity that connect at this lower level, is huge. I mean, just being able to detach, from that identity
Yeah.
is so freeing, right? And I'm not going to say that that I can do that 100%. I can't, right? I'm not there yet. I should say I can't.
It is a journey. I don't think there is
It's a
an end
journey,
point.
right?
Mhm.
But the further you go into this expansion of your
Mhm.
consciousness, the more you recognize, how much of that is your programming
Yeah.
and what you're charged to react to, right?
Yes.
And it isn't that it's not important. It isn't that it's not important to fight for what's right. It isn't that it's not important to fight collectively for humanity and serving everybody. It's more about recognizing what is in this programming and what you're primed to do and what's worth attaching your energy to.
Mhm.
um, it's about what's worth attaching your energy to and what's wasted
Mhm.
on being triggered and emotional reactivity and all of this fray,
Is
right? So it's
all the
really
resistance.
getting,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, really, Really amazing stuff. What's the next step? Um, you know, for so for those who are really curious about quantum healing, you know, how do they start exploring this? Or maybe they're not quite ready to dive into quantum healing, but what's the, you know, what do you suggest for those who are curious about something like this? You know, how do you kind of inch your way into that?
So if somebody is interested in experiencing this or working with me, I mean, I would invite to contact me directly. But those who are just like not sure or still questioning how things work, um, I would give a tip to play and experiment with. Okay.
Mm, love
And
this.
so the biggest problem of our society, like stress and anxiety and all those issues, are there because we don't process the information enough. And this is again going back to the computer analogy, because we
Hmm.
receive information day and night, like through our senses, whether we see things, hear things, feel things, smell, or taste. And so all the time we are being pumped with information. And now our brain needs to process that information for us to function normally. And if we don't process, then we get stressed out, anxious, and all that. So the best
Hmm.
way to process
Yeah,
the
totally.
information is rapid eye movement. And
Oh
probably
yeah.
some of you will know. So the technique, like very simple, if you do meditate or just have a moment, quiet moment to sit down and relax and pay attention to your thoughts, right? So in that flow of thoughts, just grab whatever comes to your mind, whether it is
Hmm.
a situation, a memory, or visual, or the word, anything.
Whatever floats by.
Yeah. If you grab that thought and thank the thought for coming to your awareness, notice what happens. Notice how it becomes resolved, whatever that was connected to. And when you do this noticing and thanking process for a while, you will see how the stress levels goes down, how you feel more clear and just sharp in thinking,
Hmm.
right? This is a very powerful tool that I would recommend anybody to start with, even if they don't go for quantum healing. This will be useful and significant.
Yeah. Now, do you recommend, did you mention rapid eye movement or was I
Yes.
like,
Yes.
okay. So when you do that, now, if I recall, because early on you had suggested something like that to me where, you know, if you can actually go into rapid eye movement intentionally, right? To
Oh
process.
yeah. Well, so rapid eye movement happens pretty much anytime you close your eyes.
Okay.
And when we are asleep, or like asleep in a dream state, rapid eye
Hmm.
movement is happening and the processing is happening. But if you close your eyes, most likely you are not conscious of it, but you might notice that your eyes are flickering, even if
Yep.
you close your eyelids. But just to experience that fully, uh, this is the exercise. So if you look upwards, as if
Hmm.
you would be trying to see your eyebrows, and
Yep.
then slowly close your eyelids, but keep looking up. That moment, you will notice how your eyes are flickering. If you want to consciously feel that. But this, no matter what you do, it is happening.
Okay.
We just usually are not aware of the process because it's so natural.
So when we have our eyes closed, when we're noticing and thinking,
Yes,
we're able to kind of process that.
exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
Because closing your eyes, you disconnect from about 80% of information that is coming into your system. If you're in a quiet place and in the comfortable position, you basically disconnect from the environment. So the
Mhm.
input stops there, and then your brain can process. So noticing and thanking whatever comes to your awareness is a powerful tool.
Yeah. Yeah, very powerful. So that's an amazing place to get started. I love that. And you can always reach out to Agne and work with her through this quantum healing process. And I can't recommend it enough, obviously. Um, it's just been tremendously helpful for me personally in my life and my business, and also in, you know, through Humanity Inc. And we're working to bring that into, this process because it's just so impactful with helping to bring change into the world through other people. I just want to thank you for your work and this process. Is there anything else that you think people should really know about quantum healing and getting access to it, and what they can do with it?
So the best way probably to, if you want to kind of experience this, is to contact me directly, either by through Facebook or there is a website that you can find more information. It is called selfalignmentcoaching.com,
Mm-hmm.
and I can share that information. But
Good.
yeah, I mean, it's just about contacting us and getting involved and showing the interest, and we'll guide you through.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing, because I think that, the world just desperately needs it right now. And I think that you're right. I think this is such a powerful pathway to shifting things. So thank you, and keep up this amazing work. And I can't wait to see all of the lives and changes that it really makes in the world.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank everybody watching. And I will invite all of you to join us and in the journey of changing the world.
Yeah, good.
Right.
And I'm excited to see you all there too.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Bye
Thanks.
now.
Bye bye.